Hello and welcome to today's LOL Esports Roundup, where we're going to cover the final day of World's 2022 Quarterfinals, DRX and EDG, as well as hit on a tad bit of news before that. Down in the description you see 3 links: Twitter, Discord, YouTube memberships. Twitter, follow me there. I post all my links there to all my content. Discord, I have a little community going on where we BS and talk about the games as they go on, go over some deeper concepts within the game and players and league-oriented stuff. There's like 350 or so people in there, so if you'd like to join, you can do that. I post my links to a channel in there as well, so if you join, you'll get updated when I make uploads. Lastly, YouTube memberships, $3. You support me, get a badge in the comment section, which signifies you support me. That is monthly, and I would appreciate that. $10 a month, you get extra content as well as a badge in the comment section. The next members only video will come out Thursday. It'll be NFL, American football themed. Now, because there's no predictions. I've been doing predictions all along for league, all summer long, and all worlds long. I'm like 65 and 20, 66 and 20, something like that right now. So I'm doing very well. Well, now actually no, now I'm 21. I had EDG winning this 3-1, but we'll get into that. So, yeah. Now, Golden Guardians, Olleh is out. He's going to military. He's 28 years old. From Korea, obviously, the import who's been playing for Golden Guardians lately, he had to go home. I guess apparently the green card appointments are backed up to the point where he, was in a situation where he has to do military now. He couldn't wait it out any longer. 4.7 KDA, 75.8 KP, 4 champions in 5 games in playoffs. Olleh has always been kind of average at best at support in the LCS, has some weird picks. Picked a Sejuani a few times this past split that kind of threw people for a loop, including myself. An eccentric player, definitely has a high work ethic, one of the highest champion Q players in this past split, I believe. Prismal is his backup, 2.37 KDA, 6.59, 65.9 KP, 8 champions in 16 games in Academy. Prismal got a couple games on stage, did not look all that great, but that may be the direction Golden Guardians take, as I think they put out a video last week, and Arrow may have, in regards to going with a more, a younger roster, possibly with a couple veterans, or another direction, and Prismal's probably in that conversation, I reckon, so we'll see about that, but we're just getting that out of the way. The big news, DRX and EDG, Deft finally does it. He did not have a big he was not the reason for it, but he finally has got the monkey off his back. He got out of quarterfinals in what might be his final year. This series was not quite as entertaining as yesterday, but it was very competitive. Very, very competitive. Came down to the wire. Came down to a fight for Drake. A Drake steal and a fight afterwards. So, DRX have been running, let's just do this real fast. Deft, 13, 11, 25, team leading 28% of damage. Zeka, 23, 9, and 25 in mid. He was the star of the show. Scout, 23, 14, and 18 in mid for EDG, 35% of the team's damage. Despite the high damage totals, Game 5, he struggled mightily, which we'll get into. Viper, 17, 10, and 23 at 80 carry. Game 5, he tried to do it, but he couldn't. Now, DRX have been playing some weird bot lanes, and I actually saw on Twitter during this series somebody had suggested that, didn't suggest, they had claimed DRX came up with the Heimerdinger bot lane, not of their own, it wasn't their idea. When they were playing Tez banned it against DRX, and DRX were they didn't understand why it was being banned against them. So they figured, we might as well try it in scrims. Why is this being banned against us? We're not even playing it. Who's playing it? And are they really having this much success that it's drawing bans? And they've been playing the Heimer ever since, to the point where it is pick or ban for DRX. Game 1, we saw Ashe Heimer. They lost. Okay. Really, I'm not going to go over the first. Scout played very well in Game 1, I believe. Was it? I think the Scout Azir game where he really went off. He might have had 11 kills or something in that game. So give Scout his credit, but I'm so high off of Game 5 that the early games are escaping me, so I'm just hitting them real fast. Game 2, a massive deal. So Ashe is out. They go with Ezreal, Heimer, bot lane, DRX. They have a 10K gold lead, and somehow DRX have a 10K gold lead. I believe this was this game and not game 3. 10K gold lead, and EDG got Soul. It was a weird situation where you have a massive lead, you give Soul, they lose Elder, they fight around Baron at one point, and the game ends actually, or it doesn't end, but DRX went for broke, and Deft TP'd into the EDG base to try and tried to backdoor, right? And so the inhib was down. He was one auto attack away from killing the Nexus when the inhib went up. He died. I think someone else may have died. I know he died. And then the game the game crumbled. The game crumbled after that. They lost the game from just this close. So close. And the thing is, it was such a oh my God, that's one of those tilter moments, right? That's a tilter moment where it's like, how do they come back down 2-0 after that in game 3, where they blow a 10K lead in such a fashion, right? Oh, they did it. They slowed the game way down in games 3 and game 4. Very, very slow. So game 1 and 2, very high paced. Kingen really stepped it up in his Camille in those games. Very strong in the side lane. Did have moments where he inted his face off, but still won the game, so you give it to him for what it is. He put them in a good position. He tried to take it away from his team, but his team said, no, we're going to win the game. Stop inting. So they were able to win. But they slowed the game down a lot. More LCK standard League of Legends, and methodically beat EDG. Zeka playing very well, Kingen playing well, Pioshik doing okay, and Beryl kind of just going with the flow. Beryl was inty this whole entire series, really. The second game specifically, now I'm all over the place with these earlier games, but his Heimer went 0-6 before it actually was relevant. He was inting his face off. So game 5, we're just going to get to game 5 here. So DRX go with Ezreal Karma bot in 4-5, which was bold. But they had Zeka on the Sylas, and Zeka carried game 5 hard. He really did. He demolished Scout. I think he may have had 4 solo kills in this game. And 2 or 3 of them in the side lane, literally back to back to back. Scout got tilted. His mental, something was going on there where he did not have it going on. He couldn't do it. He kept trying to fight Zeka and kept dying over and over and over again. Now, Zeka tried to give it away a little bit. He listening to the Double Lift Bjergsen Medio Sneaky Co-stream. I know Bjerg was, they were a little critical of one of his purchases. He was getting a little hypey, and he ended up having to sell his Sheen that he bought that was kind of sus to buy and a waste of gold, so he kind of slowed down the team's advantage, but they had a massive advantage, right? And they're in a good position, but Zeka was massive. Pioshik was kind of just going with the flow. He was behind on experience, but doing what he had to do. Fiora was on Kingen. Kingen on Fiora was more impactful as well than Flandre on Jax. Flandre really, I felt, pretty irrelevant this series. Maybe in games 1 and game 2 he's more relevant, but in the grand scheme of things, his Jax was not relevant when they needed it to be. But so game 5, EDG are in a good position. They have to give a couple Drakes, and so Kingen gets picked off in mid lane. And I don't recall, EDG might have been at soul point, DRX definitely at soul point. EDG may have had 2 Drakes instead of 3 at the time, but regardless, they'd killed Kingen in mid, so it was 5v4 for them, so they're going to start the Drake. And, JJ, I didn't look at it slow-mo, but JJ failed the smite. When push came to shove, Pioshik on the Viego stole the Drake, gave them soul. Zeka would then carry through the fight along with Pioshik and win the game off of that fight. It was a very, very close game at that point. It could have been anybody's game, really. DRX were going for broke at that point, 4v5, because they knew We really can't let this game continue to go longer. Viper started becoming a little more impactful on the Aphelios, making things happen. Deft, missing all his ultimates. Really, Deft, in this series, kind of shaky at times. Really kind of shaky. And, I mean, in the end, Zeka is able to carry him through this. Pioshik showed up in the biggest moment. Now this team has to go play Gen G in Atlanta, and we'll get through that throughout this week. But I'm kind of all over the place right now because I don't root for teams. I don't root for region. Well, I'd like NA to do well just for the game as a whole. But regardless, I don't root for teams. I'm narratives. Narratives. I wanted narratives, and the narrative was Deft for DRX. It was Deft. They're the underdog mentality. No pressure. No pressure. And the mental perseverance it took for this team to recover after how Game 2 ended was massive. So many people watching this video and probably watching this game would have been tilted in solo queue off of their gaming chair. They would walk away from their desk, they'd walk away from their PC, or they would go int 5 games in a row, all PO'd. Like, I don't feel like majority of, well, not majority, but quite a few people would not have what it takes to get back in to the highest level of play, with all the naysayers always saying you're cursed and this and that. It's his birthdays. Retirement, things like that. Like, he really, this was massive. The narrative for Deft and the underdog DRX. I am somebody that said DRX is the weakest team going into this event in best of ones. And they're one of the final 4. LCK have 3 of the final 4 teams. So, once again, the LCK has proven in a best of 5, which we all know a best of 5 is a better tell for who's good and who's not. They did it again. So, throughout this week, my videos are going to go over, how I'm going to do it is tomorrow is probably going to be top lane, and I'm going to go over the 4 top laners, 4 junglers, mid laners, 80 carries and supports. Just go over how their Worlds runs have went so far. Look at some champion pool things like that. That's my filler content for the week, as well as any news that breaks, any players that are allowed to leave for options, kind of like Olleh today, Yankos yesterday, and players before that the day before. So, yeah. So, like the video if you like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. If you like the video, share it. I'd appreciate that. Become a YouTube member. I'd really, really appreciate that. Like the video. I'm not going to edit this. Join the Discord. Follow me on Twitter. I'm going to say it again. Become a YouTube member, and thank you for watching.